The Rise of Skywalker is the worst Star Wars movie of all time. Hands down. For me, there's no question. People talk about the prequels as being the worst movies, but they're at least unique, and are obviously a single man's vision being brought to life, even if they don't completely work. Also, they have incredible lightsaber duels. They are very well choreographed, and the fighters both feel like proper warriors, like ninjas wielding katanas. They are skilled and powerful. You can tell they're masters of the Force, and it creates very high stakes and tense action scenes. I'm not a prequel defender. I don't think they're good, but at least they gave birth to the Clone Wars, which you can tell by my channel that I kinda like. I know that this film was decimated by almost every YouTuber back when it first came out in December, before the world turned to utter chaos, but I've just gotten onto the YouTube scene, and I need to talk about it. So, I'm finding it kinda difficult about where to begin with this disaster of a film. So I think I'm just going to go over my thoughts of the other two sequel films, and then go through the entire movie, scene by scene. So this is going to be a lot longer than my other videos. Anyway, enough of me stalling. Let's get on with it. The Force Awakens is a movie that exists. It's very average and doesn't really leave an impact on me. I would give it maybe a 4 out of 10, I guess. I have a lot of problems with it, and one of my main is the copying aspects of A New Hope. See, I don't mind the structure being similar to A New Hope, but the thing that I hate is that the First Order and Resistance are literally just a B-Tech Empire and Rebels, just not as fleshed out. In the original trilogy, the Empire are really threatening, and they have a planet-destroying weapon, so the First Order have the same, with just a bigger planet-destroying weapon. Okay, movie, you do you. The rebels in the originals are just fighting back against the Empire, and in the new movies, the Resistance are fighting back against the First Order, because the heroes need an army to fight with. Wow, JJ, you're really pushing the writer's boundaries here. Besides that, I really don't like Kylo Ren in this. He seems actually kind of threatening at first, but after his face reveal, which shows that he's just an emo teen, kind of ruins him. I didn't want him to just be scarred, but I wanted him to at least look like he wasn't just an edgy teenager who did a Darth Maul cosplay but then couldn't be bothered to put on the makeup. Then, at the end of this movie, he gets battered by Rey. Mentioning the Mary Sue herself, Rey in this movie is stupidly OP. She thinks that the Jedi and the Force are a myth, but then she can easily use it. She uses the Jedi mind trick, which she didn't even know existed, and pulls the lightsaber towards her, even when Kylo is pulling it towards him. Then she kicks his ass. He kind of reminds me of Zuko in Season 1 of Avatar. He just isn't threatening. One more thing is that The Force Awakens ruins Han Solo's character. They reverse all of his character development from the original trilogy in these movies. He changes from a scoundrel to a hero, but he's just back to being a smuggler. And do you know why? Because that is the classic Han. The Han that everyone remembers. So they make general audiences go, "That's so Han," even though it destroys his development. I will admit that his death scene is emotional, but I love how J.J. Abrams has to have it over a huge random pit so his body falls into the abyss. Now, we get onto the scene I hate the most in The Force Awakens. After Han dies, Chewie, Finn, and Rey get back, and Leia walks towards Rey and hugs her, but she walks past Chewbacca. They don't even look at each other. They don't interact. It's stupid. They attempt to make a bond between Leia and Rey, but having them hug instead of the best friend and wife of Han, all they needed to do is a loving look, or maybe they could reach out to each other. But no. Leia hugs Rey. Rey. Maybe this isn't a 4. I guess it'll go down to a 3. The Last Jedi, I think, is better than The Force Awakens, and is somehow the best sequel movie. And it still isn't good. I will get Luke out of the way first. I don't mind the idea of Luke being depressed and giving up on the Jedi, but I hate the circumstances. Kylo Ren, his own nephew, has a dark dream, so his instinct is to kill him. This man saw the good in Darth Vader, a man who slaughtered children. Now, don't come at me saying, oh, but he tried to kill Vader at the beginning. He tried to kill Vader before he learnt that they were related, and that Vader used to be a great Jedi, Anakin Skywalker. After that, he tried to bring out the good in him. Another argument about Luke trying to kill Kylo Ren is that it was a moment of weakness. I really dislike this statement because you can use this excuse for any time a character acts out of character. If someone does something that they would never do, you can just say, oh, it was a moment of weakness. People don't defend Daenerys saying when she attacked King's Landing, which was completely out of character, they don't say, oh, it was a moment of weakness. They say it was terrible. Also, Luke fails and Kylo kills his fellow students. But instead of trying to stop or reason with Kylo, Luke, the hero of the rebellion, just runs away and hides away forever, like a coward. I also find it stupid that Luke says the other two plots in The Last Jedi are both worthless. Poe's subplot makes no sense. The new Admiral, Admiral Holdo, doesn't tell Poe the plan, a hero of the rebellion, for no reason. People say she doesn't tell him because she thinks he's a mole, which makes no sense as he literally blew up Starkiller Base a few days before. Finally, Finn's plot sucks. It's bland and pandering, with prequel-tier dialogue. They bring up a few interesting ideas, like slavery and people playing both sides, which are two themes explored in Clone Wars, by the way. But yeah, Finn's plot may as well not happen. Before I move on, I need to mention the throne room scene. The choreography is atrocious. It looks cool, sure, but if you slow it down, it's so janky. If you want a full-depth review of this fight, go watch Shadversity's video. He's a much bigger and better channel than me, and he'll explain it well. So, yeah, that's my opinion of the first two sequels. I don't really like them. Both are about a 3 out of 10 for me, but both get worse and worse the more I think about them. I have loads more to talk about with both, as I didn't even mention the Space Kamikaze or Snoke. Also, here is a question to end off this section. I know it's nitpicky, but how does Rey know how to swim? She grew up on a desert planet. Anyway, on with the Rise of Skywalker review. So, the first thing I have to talk about is the return of Palpatine. I'm just going to say it was a horrible decision. I see why they did it. It makes sense that he would have been the villain in all 3 trilogies. But the thing is, he hasn't been set up or even mentioned in this trilogy. So him reappearing is completely random and confusing to general audiences. Another reason they brought him back was obviously so they could slap him on every piece of marketing this film had. They just brought him back for nostalgia, to remind the audience of better films that he was in. Fun adventures that made a lot of people's childhood. The intimidating and camp force that he is in Revenge of the Sith, and the true villain he is in Return of the Jedi, are the versions people like, not this corpse of a man that is only made for a final fight and the end and marketing ploys. To any sequel defenders out there, please tell me how he is even alive. I'm still confused. He isn't a clone, because why would his body be destroyed then? He has to be the one in Return of the Jedi, but that don't work because of the same reason. And the only explanation the movie gives is a reference to the Revenge of the Sith. The movie just wants you to accept that he survived being obliterated twice and could breathe in space until he flew to Exegol like Leia in The Last Jedi, I guess? Yeah, okay movie. Besides all that, the worst part about Palpatine's return, worse than just being a cash grab and having no reason to be alive, is that it ruins Anakin's sacrifice. The first 6 movies are all about Anakin's story. His journey from a Jedi and being manipulated into betraying the Order for love and falling to the dark side, only to find redemption and kill the man who manipulated him. Anakin's story is brilliant. It took 6 movies and all of Clone Wars and Rebels to end it, but it did in a very satisfying way. Because of this, bringing Palpatine back means that Anakin's sacrifice was worthless. It means that the Rebels didn't win. They just pushed him back slightly. Luke, Han and Leia failed in the original trilogy. It means that the true hero, the true chosen one, is Rey. Someone who has nothing to do with the Palpatine and Anakin plots, is the one to finish him off. Wow. Well done. Anyway, the film begins with Kylo on apparently Mustafar, which I don't understand because it looks nothing like Mustafar, but that's neither here nor there. He finds something called a Wayfinder. I don't know why they didn't just call it a holocron, as it looks the exact same, but green. So this MacGuffin is the map to find Palpatine. But this was Vader's Wayfinder, which means Anakin never told Luke that there was a map to a secret Sith planet. And even if you defend it and say, oh, maybe Palpatine didn't tell Vader what it was, I will say, and? Surely Anakin would still tell them that Palpatine gave him something, but never told him what it was. That's really sus. So Kylo uses it to get to Exegol, and he finds Palpatine in a huge Sith temple. Now, I would give this design points because it's really cool, but I can't admire it as the screen can't stop flashing. It actually feels like the film is trying to give me a seizure. Anyway, you see a tube filled with Snoke clones, and then Kylo finds Palpatine. Wait, what? A tube full of Snoke clones? What the hell? So, was Snoke not a real guy? Was he a puppet of Palpatine? Does Sheev just have copies of him? He can't be controlling or talking to Snoke, because he didn't know about the dyad. The problem is, none of these important questions that explain past movies and characters are answered, because the scene just ignores it and acts like it's not a big deal, but it is. Then Kylo talks to Sheev, and the scene ends with him ordering Kylo to kill Rey. Keep that in mind for later, okay? After that, he casually lifts an army of 1,000 Star Destroyers out of the ground. Okay, this is where I draw a line. How the hell did no one know Palpatine was alive? The amount of resources and fuel these things must have taken to build and run is insane, let alone the tens of thousands of crew on board. There is literally no way he could have done all this without anyone knowing. Another big question never answered is, who were the crew on this ship? And who are this weird cult at the end of the movie? There are tens of thousands of lads just vibing, apparently. Okay, movie, my mental state doesn't matter, does it? But oh wait, it gets even worse. Every single Star Destroyer has a Death Star laser. What? Are you actually joking? People still abuse Return of the Jedi for just doing another Death Star. Then The Force Awakens rolls up and was like, oh yeah, let's do it again, but bigger. And now this film has gone, let's do it again, but with more Death Stars. Oh my god, get an imagination. J.J. Abrams will have been paid millions for this, and what has he done? He's just copied the Star Wars movies and come up with ideas that even a toddler would call stupid. Also, I want to know, if you can make a Death Star laser fit onto a Star Destroyer, could you literally put a planet-destroying laser on a TIE fighter? Now that would be a bombing run. Also, one more question is, why did Palpatine announce his presence? Why not just send a Star Destroyer to every planet in the galaxy and say, bow down to me or you all die? Oh wait, villains aren't allowed to be smart. See, in A New Hope, the Empire wanted everyone to know they had the Death Star. They used it for intimidation and to send a message, to put the systems in order. That's Tarkin's actual line. That's why they blew up Alderaan, to send a message. Okay, let's move on from this scene and go to scene 2. It opens with Poe, Finn and Chewie on the Millennium Falcon, along with a weird slug creature? What is this thing? It's in the film for like a minute for no reason, and they tried to use it for comedy, which just really takes me out of the film and confuses me. Anyway, they get the information about Palpatine being alive and then battle some TIE fighters. After destroying a bunch of them, around 5 more arrive, and instead of just fighting them, they lightspeed skip. This scene kind of reminds me of this scene in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, when Yondu and Rocket use their ship and jump from planet to planet. Except in that movie, it's a comedic scene with really funny animation. But in this, it just breaks what we know about lightspeed. In the original trilogy, we are explicitly told how precise you have to be. But in this, you can just spam it like a child in a shooter game. Now we see Rey on Not Endor, floating in the air and using the Force to lift up a pile of rocks. Just why? You've just shown that Jedi can levitate. That changes everything. That means that technically they have to have the ability to fly. Just as well, it takes Rey no effort to do this. She does a front flip and lands on the floor, lowering the rocks carefully back to the floor. Why does she have to be so OP? Next, we see her training. This feels so cringy because she hasn't needed to train at all, and she's the most powerful member of the rebellion, but she is training. Poe even brings it up. She's basically just putting her friends in danger by not helping. Anyway, after training, Rey speaks to Leia, and I don't like what they do with Leia. I think it's quite immoral to remake her in CGI and body doubles and use dialogue from other films. But specifically, remember, The Force Awakens, not The Last Jedi, because J.J. Abrams wants to act like that film doesn't exist. And as much as I dislike that movie, spending half of this movie reversing what Rian Johnson did is a stupid idea. And now we have the first scene in all 3 movies in this trilogy where the main characters are together. It takes around 4.5 hours for our mains to even meet. Imagine if in Lord of the Rings, Aragorn, Legolas and Gimli didn't meet till Return of the King. Or if in the original Star Wars trilogy, the main cast didn't meet till Return of the Jedi. It wouldn't work because they have no built-up relationships. We don't know how they react with each other. Even in this movie, they don't build any relationships. It's so bland and uninteresting. So, the heroes set off on their adventure, and then we cut to the Knights of Ren. Oh yeah, those guys. They're a thing. Oh wait, they aren't. Because in this movie, all they do is stand around looking quote-unquote cool. Jesus, the villains in this trilogy suck. Hook was a B-Tech Tarkin in The Force Awakens, and I forgot he was even in it. And then Rian Johnson arrived and turned him into a genuine clown. He was a wimp in The Last Jedi, and then in this film, well, we'll get to that later. Captain Phasma was also a villain in these movies. I love how she was in so much of the marketing, but had under 5 minutes combined screen time. And Snoke existed? He seemed really powerful, which confuses me since Palpatine has clones of him. Why not just create an army of super powerful Siths? Also, how can you put the Force into a clone? I just don't understand. Rey and the gang arrive at Tatooine. No Jakku, no Jeddah, no Geonosis, no... Oh, who really cares at this point? So they arrive at a festival that happens once every 42 years. How dare you try to be cute, you movie, you have sinned. Whilst wandering around, Rey has a Force Skype meeting with Kylo. To be honest, this is controversial, but I didn't mind the idea of the dyad in The Last Jedi. But this movie takes that subtle idea and ruins it. Kylo grabs a necklace from around her neck and transports it through dimensions. He teleports it from one planet to millions of light years away. It makes no sense because this movie doesn't explain the limits of this. Could he grab her and teleport him to her? I just want to know how this works. I want an answer to any question. Then Kylo scans the necklace and tracks the exact location of them? Wow, how contrived. How can scanning a necklace show you the exact planet a character is on, let alone the exact location on the planet? Also, what if she wasn't on the planet and had been wearing it for weeks? Then what? The next scene is an action scene. There is a reoccurring theme in this film, It just moves you along so quickly and doesn't give any actual character moments or development, or even scenes where people just have a real conversation. Instead, it just has quick, unfunny banter that's trying to copy Marvel. Speaking of which, they fly now? What do you dumbasses mean? They've flown since at least the Clone Wars, and you've had spaceships for thousands of years. After an admittedly not that bad action scene, they happen to fall into a pit of quicksand. When they fall through, they land in the exact place they needed to find. The exact place they needed to find. Wow, how convenient. Then they find a Sith dagger that C-3PO can read, but he can't speak it. Surely it would work better if he just couldn't read it, but it doesn't really matter at this point. So now they have to find a way for C-3PO to translate it. Do you see what I mean with the plot just moves so freaking quickly and doesn't let you, take anything in? Okay, I have a theory about this dagger. Originally, the villain for this film was meant to be the son of Mortis, a villain from the Clone Wars. He was only in one arc, which is the Mortis arc, but was great in that, and was played by the excellent Sam Witwer. Now, in that Clone Wars arc, there's an evil dagger that possesses people. I think that this knife was from that plot, but after they ditched that, they just shoved it into this movie. Now, we get on to the Force healing scene. See, I said in the Ahsoka video that I hate Force healing and time travel, and I'm just going to explain now, because this video is already going to be really long, so why not? Okay, Force healing is such a stupid idea, because as soon as you add any type of healing into a story, it breaks all tension. Rey gets brought back from the dead in this film, and heals a fatal wound in this film. See, the problem is, she reads the power in the Jedi text. Then why haven't any of the Jedi ever used this power before? There are so many moments where this could have been useful. When Qui-Gon died, during Order 66, some could have been brought back to life. Also, in this film, Kylo dies when healing Rey, but it costs her nothing to heal. It doesn't weaken or even tire her. Then, the time travel. It is basically the same thing. Every time a character is killed, you could just bring them back to life. Everyone knows that you have to be very careful with time travel. There's a very fine line to walk on, and Rebels just throws themselves over that line. Back to the film now. Rey heals a worm and then it coincidentally breaks some rocks so they escape. They then find a ship that has been next to this sandpit for a decade, and it hasn't been looted and torn apart, and it just works instantly. They just turn it on. How far am I into this film? 35 minutes? I'm never going to finish this, am I? I'm going to break before I finish this review. Now we get on to one of the most nonsensical moments in the entire film, which is saying something. So, the characters need to escape, but then Rey just walks away because she can sense Kylo's near. Then at full speed, Kylo drives towards her. Firstly, I don't know what his plan is. If he wants to kill her, just shoot. If he doesn't, why ram towards her? So Rey does a trailer shot and then chops off a wing of Kylo's TIE fighter. So he crashes against the floor at 100 miles per hour. He keeps rolling and bouncing and then explodes. But just gets out like nothing happened. What? Oh, this movie is so frustrating. Then Chewie gets kidnapped in a ship, so Rey tries to pull it down. Okay. I don't know what her plan is either, since if she brings it down, she'll probably destroy it as it hits the ground. Oh, sorry, it was probably a moment of weakness. Then she shoots Mega Lightning out of her fingers and decimates the ship. Nice. That's another power added to her arsenal. God, it's so annoying that she can just do it accidentally. Only true Sith masters can use this power after years of training. But Rey, she can just do it. What an interesting character. I'm really invested in her struggles. So 2 scenes later, it's revealed that Chewie didn't die in the explosion, and it was on a different ship. Whoa, you really got me there, film, you prankster. After this, the heroes go to another planet. Its name doesn't really matter at all. So they arrive there to find a droid smith, which they should definitely have a droid smith in the rebellion, but sure. They find someone and they say if C-3PO reads this, then his memory will be erased. See, the thing is, this guy is a droid smith, so how doesn't he have anything to back up C-3PO's memory? Also, I hate how the movie makes him refer to Rey and the Diversity Point gang as his friends. I'm sorry, 3PO. They don't like you. So 3PO reads the knife and his eyes turn red because, ooh, spooky, and they needed more trailer shots. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that they meet one of Poe's old crewmates because he used to apparently be a spice dealer. Well done, Disney. You made your Hispanic character a drug dealer. So they run into a woman that hates Poe, but after Rey beats her up, she decides to help him. No joke. That's literally what happens. Go rewatch the movie. No, don't. Before you say anything, I'm just going to refer to Poe's inconsequential woman friend as her, as she isn't an important character, or even a character at all. She's just another action figure, another picture on the poster. So, in the next scene, she gives Poe a medallion to get all the main characters into a Star Destroyer for some reason. I don't know how she has this thing, as it's a First Order captain's medallion, and surely if the captain is dead, it wouldn't work anymore. But the movie doesn't care, so I don't either. The scene up on the Star Destroyer is just where they save Chewie just to get captured but then saved by Hux, who has suddenly changed sides, but it doesn't really matter because he's unceremoniously shot a few seconds later. What a great villain. Then we have the first quote-unquote lightsaber duel, if you can even call it that. They hit their lightsabers together like 3 times and then it ends. How exhilarating. Rey learns that she's the granddaughter of Palpatine. Done. Okay, time to rant again. I like the idea that she was a nobody. It proved that not all Force users were part of, one family. But nope, if you want to be a Force user, you have to be part of 3 families, or you don't get to be a Jedi. I hate how Kylo says, I never lied to you. I mean, you did though, mate. You said her parents sold her for drinking money, and they didn't. They were assassinated. In the next scene, Rey questions if she is good, and says no one knows who she really is. But the thing is, how can he start acting like she's morally grey? Or even evil? Luke does way worse things in Return of the Jedi. His opening scene is him straight up choking 2 of Jabba's guards. Rey hasn't done a single villainous deed, but as soon as she finds out that she's Palpatine's granddaughter, she's like, oh, I must be evil. Now, they land at another planet that's got a name, but no one really cares and it doesn't really matter. They find there the Death Star, still intact, with glass still in the windows. Palpatine's chair is still stood up. Do the creators of this movie even remember what happened to the Death Star? It literally got obliterated. Even if any of it was left, it would have burnt up in atmosphere, and then would have collided with the ground, smashing into pieces, and then would have moved and rotted with the water. But no, there's still glass. Have you guys even seen a movie? Do you know how anything works? Now, we have reached the worst scene in all of Star Wars. Rey is stood in a random spot on a planet, looking at the Death Star that, like I said, should not exist. She pulls out the knife and finds a hidden compartment in the blade. Yes, really. Then she pulls that section out and it points to the exact spot on the Death Star where the other green MacGuffin is. She is stood in a random spot. If she was slightly to the left or forward or on the other side of the planet or on the other side of the Death Star, she wouldn't have found the place where she had to go. Wow, you are professional writers who get paid hundreds of thousands for this, and this is the best you could come up with? Oh yeah, another character is introduced randomly in this scene. Another stormtrooper who deserted the First Order, just like Finn. That's it. She has like a minute of screen time. She says a story, And then she has a really pervy scene with Lando at the end. So yeah, 10 out of 10, my favourite Star Wars character. I think now is the best time to talk about Finn in this series as a whole. In The Force Awakens, Finn's arc was a great setup. The idea of an ex-stormtrooper trying to run away from the rebellion and the Empire is a really cool concept. However, they kind of fail at this, because instantly after betraying the First Order, he starts killing fellow stormtroopers, which doesn't work, because the stormtroopers in this series are kidnapped children who are forced to become soldiers. But he starts cheering as he kills them. His whole reason that he leaves is because he sees one of his fellow friends die. Then at the end of Force Awakens, he duels Kylo and gets beaten, which could have been a great setup for him to train and become a Jedi, but then Rian Johnson went, nope, let's just put him on the useless side adventure that would put side quests in video games to shame. That has nothing to do with his setup arcs. What a great idea! Then, in this movie, they randomly set up that he's force sensitive, but don't do anything with it. He doesn't even pick up a lightsaber in this film. It's obvious that online, most people are really disappointed with Finn in this trilogy. Even John Boyega himself has been very openly aggressive to Disney, stating that they had no effing plan what to do with his character. Also, the fact that Disney made him smaller on posters in certain countries like China is just disgusting. Rey is told that she can't make it to the Death Star as the waves are too aggressive, but the girl who grew up on the desert easily traverses it with no problem. I'm getting really fed up of Rey just being amazing at everything. Once she finds the Emperor's throne room, she sees a secret room that was definitely not there in Return of the Jedi, but she finds another MacGuffin. But then Kylo appears, literally out of nowhere. He had no idea where the main characters were going, and wouldn't know that the other MacGuffin is here. He has no reason to be here. It's so stupid and just a contrived way to add another action scene to distract the audience from the stupid idea that the Death Star even still exists. Now we get on to the final duel in the Skywalker saga. The final duel in Star Wars. And it's so mediocre. It's just painfully meh. So, let's dive into this battle. To start with, I hate how in this movie it looks like two children flinging baseball bats around. They slam against each other and both characters react like they're carrying sledgehammers. This is pathetic compared to the incredibly fast-paced duels in the prequels. Also, I genuinely can't remember the music in this scene, which is really frustrating as the best duels in Star Wars have memorable and iconic music. The duel between Darth Maul and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon has the excellent Duel of the Fates, and Anakin vs. Obi-Wan as Battle of Heroes. The best fights have awesome music, but this scene has nothing. This entire movie has no good music, besides pre-established tracks from better movies. During the battle, Leia decides to kill herself. I don't understand what happens in this scene. I think that she is projecting herself like Luke did, but if she did, why didn't we, the audience, see her do it? If Kylo just sensed her dying, why wouldn't Rey sense her dying too? It actually discombobulates me. Also, if you were going to kill Leia off, why not just open with her funeral? That would have been so much better. It would have been a respectful goodbye to the character of Leia and the actress Carrie Fisher. In this moment, Kylo freezes and drops his lightsaber, but then Rey, fully knowing he's stopped fighting, picks it up and then straight up shanks him. I timed it. He freezes for 28 seconds, but she still stabs him, even though he was obviously stopping fighting. Wow, Rey, you are a literal child, aren't you? You just have to win because the writers need Rey to always win. When the battle ends, she just uses Force Heal to save Kylo's life. Like I said, this just ruins all stakes and tension. Also, why is she healing him? Because she feels bad? I don't get it. At this point, Kylo is still a villain who was trying to kill him moments before this. People act like their relationship in this movie is really built up, but it isn't. In The Last Jedi, their Force meetings didn't build up her liking Kylo. She still hated him. And at the end, she blocked him out. But now she just heals him. This man killed Han,
killed Luke, turned Luke into a depressed old man, and ordered 5 planets to be destroyed by Starkiller Base. He doesn't deserve to be healed. In the next scene, Rey decides to go to Ahch-To and burn her ship so she could never escape. She does what Luke did for no reason. She beat her enemy and then helped him. Why is she run away? Also, Palpatine is about to attack and she just gives up. She was going to let everyone die, just because. Rey goes to throw Anakin's lightsaber into the fire, which makes me so mad because it reminds me that Anakin's lightsaber is now marketed as Rey's. This breaks me. That is Anakin's saber. How dare you act like you have the right to just yeet it into a fire? Luke catches the saber and puts his middle finger up to Rian Johnson. Very subtle, JJ. Well done, well done. Then Luke starts telling Rey how amazing she is, and that she can kill Palpatine. Then he raises his old X-Wing out of the water, which confirms that he could have gone to Crait himself, but he didn't. I love that in both JJ's movies, he is just wasted. In the first one, he doesn't even speak a line of dialogue, and in this one, he's just there to say how good Rey is. Luke is so disrespected in this trilogy. Whilst that happens, Kylo has his unearned redemption. He sees a vision of Han, and Han then forgives him for killing him. I will admit, this is a very well-acted scene, and would be emotional, but the problem is, Han doesn't even exist. This isn't a Force ghost, it's a memory, which means that Kylo just forgave himself. He wasn't actually forgiven. That's not how the Force works, Ben, you buffoon. Now we are entering the third act. This has taken way longer than I expected, and it's not like it's going to get any quicker. The characters have a conversation about tactics before they start, similar to A New Hope. They say that there are no shields in atmosphere, so all they have to do is destroy the Star Destroyers by shooting the cannons below a few times. Also, you can use shields in atmosphere, since the opening of The Empire Strikes Back is all about this. And you see a shield on the speeders the stormtroopers use back on Tatooine. No, Jedha! No, Jedha! No, damn it! Did you even watch your own movie? Then a character asks why they don't just use the hyperspeed kamikaze, which is a good question. But then Finn says that it's a 1 in a million shot. So that means that in The Last Jedi, Holdo was trying to run away? Way to make that movie worse, JJ. Alright, so Rey guides the Resistance to Exegol, and they all arrive to destroy the Star Destroyers, whilst Rey and Kylo fight Palpatine. I'm going to start with explaining the space battle. The First Order are just so unintimidating. One Y-Wing decimates a Star Destroyer in a few shots. Also, it turns out that the First Order needs a navigation tower, because without it, their ships don't know which way is up. What? How can your villains be so threatening if they are so weak? The only time any tension is created is when Palpatine goes Super Saiyan. During the battle, this movie blatantly rips off Endgame. When the heroes are all at their lowest, Poe hears someone in his earpiece, and it is revealed that Lando is there with Chewie and thousands of civilian ships. Which, to begin with, it is established during The Last Jedi that the First Order are at an all-time low, but the civilians were still too scared to attack. But they help when the evil Sith Lord Palpatine is returned, and he has thousands of planet-exploding weapons. That's when they decide to turn up. Why? Because they needed a bigger army for the good guys. Also, this makes me question why they're even here. Surely they don't have any weapons, they're just civilians. They've basically just arrived there to die. Some of the characters who are back are the woman who knows Poe, and the droid Smith, my personal favourite character. Meanwhile, Kylo arrives on Exegol dressed as Ross from Friends, and then he comes face to face with the greatest villains in the entire series, the true villains, the Knights of Ren, and it is revealed that they are all actually limbs of General Grievous that mutated into living beings. Oh wait, this was another version of the script, not the final one. Whoops. So Kylo starts getting his ass kicked, until Rey teleports her lightsaber to him. Okay, so in this movie, we have seen Force healing, Force teleportation, and it has been confirmed that Force ghosts can hold objects like lightsabers. I feel so sorry for any writer that needs to make a new Star Wars movie after this. With all these new Force rules and the new things added to the space battles, such as hyperspace tracking and space kamikaze, it will be so difficult for anyone else to write. So when Rey and Kylo confront Sheev, he reveals that his true plan was for Rey to kill him so he would possess her body. Where have I seen this before? Oh yeah, Return of the Jedi. This is the exact same plan. Learn a new trick, Palps, buddy. You're getting pretty predictable. He then flicks Kylo down a pit, so he just doesn't matter. Great, that whole redemption arc means nothing. Awesome. Just imagine if Vader didn't save Luke, and Luke just killed Palpatine, and then Vader made out with his son, and then the film ended. You wouldn't have liked that, would you? Would you, JJ? So Rey hears the voices of all the Jedi, which confirms that Ahsoka is dead, which was obviously the writers going, oh, we know Clone Wars. We know that you like this character, but instead of adding her in, we just confirm that she's dead, even though she shouldn't be at this time. Great. Just great. Okay, this is hopefully my last rant, but did the writers forget that not every Jedi became a Force ghost? During the original trilogy, there were only 3 confirmed Force ghosts, which are Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and Yoda, along with Anakin, but in this movie, it seems that every Jedi can just become a Force ghost, which is wrong, as you have to go through lots of challenges. And like I said, no Jedi who died during Order 66 knew how to become a Force ghost. So Rey faces down Palpatine, and he starts shooting his insane lightning that took out an entire fleet, but she blocks it with one lightsaber. And then he proclaims that he is all the Sith, which he isn't. The Son of Mortis is, which makes me think again that a lot of this film is bits of the other script meshed together. Then they rip off Endgame again. He says, I am all the Sith, he is inevitable, and Rey states that she is all the Jedi, she is Iron Man. The line, I am all the Jedi, is so undeserved. She's giving herself the title of the best Jedi. She is all of them. She hasn't earned that at all. It just makes me sad that she whips out another lightsaber, causing Sheev's lightning to go back in his face. How do all 3 trilogies end with lightning hitting back in his own face? Then, even as his face burns off, he still keeps shooting. How stupid are you, Sheev? When Palpatine dies, Rey just collapses to the floor. And dies, but doesn't fade away, proving that she isn't a true Jedi. Ha! Get wrecked. But Kylo just heals her, and then they kiss. Because of course they do. But then he just dies. Okay, at this point I'm just so tired of this movie, I don't have enough energy left to get mad. So, they all go back to not Endor, and talk with each other, and celebrate. And they make you see that frickin' slug again. I swear to you one day I will crush that thing. So the entire Skywalker saga ends with Rey on Tatooine. No, oh, it is actually Tatooine. Then she buries Leia and Anakin's lightsabers in the sand. Wow, you buried Anakin's lightsaber on the planet where he was a slave and his mother was murdered, and the planet that Luke always wanted to escape, where his uncle and aunt were killed, and a planet that Leia never even visited. There isn't even a meme to come up with here. People will go, ooh, get it? He doesn't like sand, tee-hee. Oh no, it's genuinely disrespectful. And it ends with a random lady with no plot relevance asking her what her name is. And she says her name is Rey. Rey Skywalker. Rey Skywalker. You can't just take someone's name. That's just not how it works. She should have either said, just Rey, showing that her name doesn't define her or make her special, or Rey Palpatine, to show that her heritage and name doesn't define her. Similar to what The Last Jedi did, or even say Rey Solo would have been better, since out of all the characters, she was closest with Han and Leia. I guess also Kylo, according to this movie. So yeah, this ending is by far the worst ending to any Star Wars movie. Ending where they're standing in front of the twin suns, milking our nostalgia even more, like scum.
This video turned out a lot longer than I expected, so thanks if you made it to this point. If you want to hear even more about The Rise of Skywalker and see it get torn to shred, go watch Mauler's Unbridled Rage video. It's amazing. But anyway, thanks for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, and comment your least favourite Star Wars movie.